I've lived in Minneapolis all of my life, and here are my honest thoughts. I've been through winters at 30 below zero, tax hikes, and a downtown where buildings now currently sell at a fraction of what they used to. After 49 years in Minneapolis and decades in real estate, today I'm giving you my honest take on what's great, what's frustrating, and what only you can learn by actually living here. If you're moving to Minneapolis, stick around and I'll break down the one thing that decides who actually thrives here and who actually leaves, flies the coop, right? All right, so what if I told you that one of the most visited spots around here isn't some big casino or a theme park? It's actually a chain of lakes connected by miles of trail that someone can bike to those lakes right from their home in less than 10 minutes, or it might even be right across the street. So the lake system here is seriously on another level. We have 22 lakes right inside of Minneapolis's city limits. Plus, Lake Minnetonka at almost 15,000 acres is only 15 minutes to the west of the city. So the Chain of Lakes Regional Park links 5 major lakes with over 13 miles of pedestrian trails. It's one of the most popular destinations in Minnesota, and for good reason. Then there's the Grand Rounds National Scenic Byway. 50 miles of connected trails literally circle the whole entire city. And then there's Theodore Wirth Park with 759 acres of mountain biking, golfing, and cross-country skiing. It's basically our winter playground with groomed trails all season long. But wait until you see what this outdoor lifestyle costs compared to the tax burden that I'm breaking down later. The numbers, they might actually surprise you. So our park system has more than 180 parks covering over 6,800 acres of green space right in the middle of the city. So you can live downtown and then you actually can be around farm fields within 30 minutes. The Mississippi River, which actually runs between both cities, has St. Anthony Falls, which is the only natural major waterfall on the entire Mississippi River. And then you have Minnehaha Falls. It brings in over 850,000 visitors every year to see this gorgeous 53-foot waterfall. To us, it's just a neighborhood park. This outdoor lifestyle is what really builds the community that keeps families here for generations. So these lakes and parks are amazing. Don't get me wrong, but they're only part of the story. What really surprises people about Minneapolis is something you never expect from a cold Midwest city. It's really a huge economic engine that people don't expect. So Target, 3M, General Mills, United Health Group, most people think that these are just companies that happen to be from Minnesota, but they're actually Fortune 500 global headquarters. And we have more of these per capita than anywhere in the entire United States. So we have 17 Fortune 500 companies here, including United Health Group at number 4 in the country with over $371 billion of revenue. And then there's Target Corporation, General Mills, 3M Company, US Bank Corp, Best Buy, and these just aren't Minnesota brands. They're huge global brands with their global headquarters right here. So not only do we have all of these Fortune 500 companies, we have the largest privately held company in the entire world right here in the Twin Cities, and that's Cargill. So the job market stays strong with unemployment averaging between 3% and 3.6% depending on seasonal adjustment. We have over 3 million workers actually right here in the metro area. We have the second highest share of jobs that pay people really well when we're compared to other cities of our size. So healthcare and financial services power our economy with companies like Medtronic, Boston Scientific, and Wells Fargo running major operations here. And compared to the challenges I'll explain soon, this business base becomes even more important for long-term stability, so stay with me. So Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport is Delta's second largest hub. Delta operates over 330 peak day departures to 124 destinations across the globe. So you can fly straight to Japan, Amsterdam, or almost anywhere in the United States without a connection. And that's one of the things that I love the most, right? Because I hate connections. I hate having to get on another plane, maybe miss that flight, have one delayed. It's just a headache. So that's what's awesome about living right here in Minneapolis-St. Paul is you very rarely have connections unless you're really trying to get it to some remote destination. So the headquarters that we have here create an economic base that has stayed strong through every recession since the 1880s. Now, all these companies create huge opportunities, but here's where things get really interesting. What does it actually cost to live in this Fortune 500 mighty hub might surprise you. A quick note before we dive deeper. If you're really thinking about moving to Minneapolis or the Twin Cities, I help families and professionals who are relocating here every single day. If you want to understand the neighborhoods, the schools, or what winter really means for your life, I can give you a straightforward answer. My contact information is in the description below. Now let's keep going and let's talk about the real cost of living realistically. So a $350,000 median home price in a city filled with Fortune 500 headquarters sounds impossible, right? But that's what makes this place different from the major business centers outside of Minnesota. Right now, median home prices still sit around $350,000 in Minneapolis and $290,000 in St. Paul. That's roughly 20% below the national average. So homes actually sell in 23 to 26 days currently, which shows you have a healthy market that isn't overheated. So the Zillow Home Value Index shows Minneapolis hovering around $303,000 to $320,000 depending on the data source, with modest year-over-year gains. So housing costs are about 18% cheaper than the national average. Healthcare runs about 5% lower, and transportation is about 3% lower as well. So compared to smaller cities, we're about 25% cheaper than Chicago and about 40% cheaper than San Francisco. Keep these affordability numbers in mind when we talk about who actually succeeds here. It makes lifestyle access even stronger. So here's the catch though. We do have the 8th highest tax burden in the entire country at 9.4%. So state income tax goes up to actually 9.85%, and property taxes average at 1.3% in Minneapolis compared to 1% basically on a national level. So the property taxes on a median $350,000 home run about $4,200 to $4,500 every year. And the city just approved another 6.9% increase. Now, the wages can support the tax load because we have strong pay across many industries. This mix of opportunity and affordability creates a special sweet spot for building wealth. The numbers look even better on paper, believe it or not. But I need to be honest with you. If you're thinking about making Minneapolis home, there are some challenges you need to understand first. What I actually dislike. So you can literally take boiling water in the winter and throw it in the air and watch it freeze before it actually hits the ground. That really can be January in Minneapolis. And that is why some people just can't handle living here. So the winters can be truly rough. We get over 50 inches of snow every year, and we are the coldest major cities in the continental United States. January average lows hit between 4 and 8 degrees Fahrenheit, and wind chills can push into the negative 30 degree below zero at the worst. So we get about 9 hours of daylight during winter solstice, and the sun actually sets around 4:30 p.m. in December. We're actually counting the days till the winter solstice, right? Because then we'll actually get a little bit better with getting some more daylight instead of constantly getting less. So seasonal depression is really common here because we have such limited daylight in the winter. It can majorly affect your mood and your mental health. This is where winter really becomes kind of mundane, right? So when you have winters like we do, it becomes even more important to think about major development projects that we actually have coming up. So these projects are designed to help people stay active and connected during those frigidly cold months. So road salt use is heavy, and your car will rust much faster than it will in warm places. The winters actually feel really long. Snow can stay on the ground from late November all the way through early April, and on the occasional year, it even can be early May. Beyond the weather, downtown Minneapolis is dealing with some real problems, however, right now. Commercial buildings have lost huge value. One building recently sold for $200 $100 million just under a decade ago, recently actually sold for $6.25 million. So downtown really needs major investment outside of our sports teams. So the Twins, Vikings, and Timberwolves are some of the main reasons people actually go downtown right now. And compared to the neighborhood opportunities that we'll talk about soon, these downtown issues create some interesting gaps in value across the city. So stick around. Guess what? Road construction here feels constant. This year, MnDOT has roughly 180 statewide projects and more than 50 active projects just in the Twin Cities metro. It can really feel like every major highway is actually being worked on at the exact same time. So government spending can be confusing. We went from a record surplus of $17.5 billion to facing a projected deficit of nearly $6 billion later in the decade here. Also, summer mosquitoes can be brutal, especially near all those lakes we love. People joke that mosquitoes are actually Minnesota's unofficial state bird. But you know what's even more interesting? Every challenge creates a chance for the right person. And I know that might sound tough, but here's what I've learned in nearly 5 decades of actually living here. Certain types of people don't just survive in Minneapolis, they actually absolutely thrive. Let me tell you who they are. So, who succeeds in Minneapolis? The U.S. Pond Hockey Championship happens on Lake Nokomis every winter. If that sounds like your idea of paradise instead of punishment, you're probably actually gonna love it here. So, outdoor enthusiasts do incredibly well here. You need to enjoy all 4 seasons and find real joy in winter activities. If you love skiing, snowboarding, ice skating, ice fishing, snowshoeing, ice hockey, snowmobiling, downhill skiing, you'll find your people here. So young professionals, they thrive in neighborhoods like the North Loop, Northeast Minneapolis, and Uptown, all walkable with great entertainment options. So families who care about education have amazing options here. Wayzata Public Schools is ranked #1 in Minnesota for the 3rd straight year. Minnetonka, Edina, and Eden Prairie school districts all have A+ ratings with great facilities and strong test scores. So healthcare and financial services professionals find great career options in the Twin Cities. Artists and creatives benefit from our nation's leading art funding per capita and affordable studio spaces. The Guthrie Theater, Walker Art Center, and the Minnesota Orchestra create a world-class cultural scene. Corporate professionals benefit from our Fortune 500 company concentration and super competitive wages. Keep this profile in mind when we get to the development outlook. These are the people driving the population growth projections right here in Minnesota. So people who struggle here are usually those who can't handle the cold or people who depend on sunshine to stay happy. Everybody needs more sunshine in their life, to be frank though, right? So if you need a full mass transit system like New York City or Chicago, you know, our system is good, but it's not on that level yet. So when you find your tribe here, Minneapolis starts to feel like a lifestyle that will fit you perfectly. So that's a look at who does well here in Minneapolis as of now. But what about the future? Here's what makes me truly excited about Minneapolis's future and why I think the best years are still ahead of us. So let's talk about the future outlook. There's a multi-billion-dollar construction project that's almost complete, and it connects downtown Minneapolis to Eden Prairie with 16 stations in between. Most people don't realize that this is one project that will reshape how we live here. So the Southwest Light Rail Transit Green Line extension is 85% complete. This $2.9 billion project opens in 2027. It'll connect downtown Minneapolis through St. Louis Park, Hopkins, and Minnetonka all the way to Eden Prairie with 16 stations. Transit-oriented development is growing fast around these future stations, creating walkable communities everywhere along the way. today. The Blue Line extension will connect North Minneapolis to Brooklyn Park with 13 stations by 2030. The Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport is investing $575 million in 2025 improvement projects, including major concourse expansions. The city set aside $225 million for infrastructure projects this year alone. Downtown Minneapolis has a Downtown 2025 plan that represents $4.8 billion in private investment. This focuses on turning office buildings into homes and adding more than 10,000 housing units downtown. Population projections show that Minneapolis is reaching more than 500,000 residents from the current 428,000. The metro area is expected to grow by 650,000 people. That's a 21% increase through 2050. The fastest suburban growth is in Lakeville, which is up 9.7% since 2020, along with Eden Prairie and Rosemount. Major development projects including the Minnesota Innovation Exchange at the University of Minnesota, Highland Bridge in St. Paul aims for 1,000 jobs and around 1,000 homes on 112 acres spread across the old Ford truck plant. Our school system keeps ranking among the top actually in the country, which supports great family growth. The mix of strong infrastructure, a growing population, and a diverse economy creates real stability. This level of planning and investment doesn't happen by accident. It shows confidence in long-term growth that smart money pays attention to. With all this development going on, you're probably wondering, where should you be looking? So let me break down the neighborhoods that matter most and give you the inside scoop on what's happening in each one. So what are the neighborhoods that actually define us? Here's the thing, St. Louis Park is about to become one of the hottest real estate markets around here, and for simple reason. So there will be 4 Green Line stations opening right in St. Louis Park in 2027. The North Loop and Warehouse District have become our trendiest areas with converted warehouses, Target Field close by, restaurants like Bar La Grassa and Spoon and Stable. Northeast Minneapolis mixes art studios, craft breweries, and a growing restaurant scene in a community that still feels real and tight-knit. Uptown gives you lake access to Bede Makasaka and walkable stores and a great nightlife. For suburbs, Wayzata brings premium pricing with Lake Minnetonka access and a super cute and trendy downtown. Edina averages $630,000 for a median home price with A-plus schools and an upscale Southdale Center. Eden Prairie has top schools and parks with Green Line access coming in 2027. Lakeville is growing the fastest at 9.7% since 2020 and offers family-friendly communities at moderate pricing. St. Louis Park is really set to grow fast with those Green Line extensions coming through in 2027. The Skyway system downtown connects more than 10 miles of climate-controlled walkways through more than 150 buildings. This lets you live, work, shop, and eat without ever going outside during the winter. So hidden gems include South Minneapolis neighborhoods like Longfellow, Seward that are more of an affordable option. Northeast, past the Brewery District, gives you residential charm without the high prices that you find in other parts of the city. So each neighborhood has its own personality, but they're all connected by the same mix of city style and Midwestern values. So look, after many years of living here, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Minneapolis just isn't for every single person out there. The winters will test you, the taxes actually will take a bite, and some downtown challenges need fixing. But for the right person, this city has something you can't find anywhere else. If you're someone who can embrace the four seasons, values education and culture, and wants to be part of a community that's building something special, it's time to think about the Twin Cities. So email us at team@hhgus.com right now, and we'll give you one-on-one guidance with Honest advice, real data, and recommendations that fit your specific situation. And speaking of insider tips, on the video on your screen, I'm sharing the 6 Twin Cities towns that locals love but never tell outsiders about. These aren't your usual suburban picks. These are places that fly way under the radar, but once you see them, you will understand why people fall in love with them. Click here and watch. So thanks for watching, and always, we'll see you in the next video and at the next house.